You probably think of trees as, just silent witnesses. They just stand there while history happens around them. But what if that's totally wrong? What if they're not just watching history, but actually recording it in minute detail? Let's dive in and see what stories they have to tell.
So just think about this for a second. What if a tree could actually remember? And I don't mean just remembering the seasons. I mean remembering events from thousands of years ago with perfect, crystal-clear accuracy. Things like cosmic disasters, the rise and fall of entire empires, and yeah, even the mark we're leaving on the planet right now.
And look, this isn't just some nice, poetic idea. It's real science. The source material for this explainer puts it perfectly. Every single ring a tree grows, well, it forms a biological archive. It's like a high-tech hard drive made of wood, packed with data, telling a story written in chemistry and time. And it's way more reliable than human memory.
So how do we read these archives? Well, there's a whole science for it, and it's called Dendrochronology. It's basically the key that lets us unlock these stories. We can take those tree rings and turn them into this super high-resolution timeline, letting us see the past with a kind of clarity that's just mind-blowing. And trust me, some of the things these trees have told us, they've completely rewritten what we thought we knew.
All right, first up, a clock in a tree. We're going to start our journey in the White Mountains of California, because it's here that one of the oldest living things on the entire planet helped scientists fix a huge problem, and, believe it or not, literally correct our timeline of human history.
So, let's meet our first hero. This is Methuselah. It's a bristlecone pine, and just look at it. Gnarled, beaten by the wind for millennia. This tree isn't just old, it's a legit scientific celebrity. We're talking about one of the longest living single organisms on Earth. Period.
I mean, let that sink in for a second. Almost 5,000 years old. This one tree was just a little sapling when the Great Pyramids were being built in Egypt. It has stood on that same mountain while entire civilizations, the Romans, the Greeks, you name it, rose and fell. It's just incredible.
So you gotta ask, right? How on earth did this one tree, just quietly living its life on a remote mountain, completely change our timeline of human history? Well, the secret is in what it was recording, year after year, in the very air it was breathing. Okay, so here's the deal. Before Methuselah, our go-to method for dating old stuff, radiocarbon dating, had this major glitch. See, it relies on carbon-14 in the atmosphere, but the amount of C14, it fluctuates. It's not constant, so our dates could be off by hundreds of years. But then, there was Methuselah. For thousands of years, it had been creating a perfect, year-by-year record of those exact C14 fluctuations in its rings. So scientists could analyze its wood and create a calibration key, a cheat sheet. And just like that, they corrected the timelines for everything. Archaeological sites, huge events like the Thera eruption, the whole shebang. Seriously, one single tree fixed the clock for human history.
Next up, cosmic messages in wood. Now we're going to jump from California all the way to New Zealand. And we're about to meet a tree that recorded something way bigger than human history. It recorded a moment when the entire planet was rocked by a massive cosmic event. This is the Namibian Kauri tree. Now, this absolute giant didn't actually make it to today. Instead, it fell into a bog and was perfectly preserved for, wait for it, tens of thousands of years. And all that time, it was holding on to an absolutely incredible secret.
So check this out. The tree told a story about something called the Lost Champ event. About 42,000 years ago, the Earth's magnetic field, the shield that protects us from all the nasty stuff in space, it just collapsed. For a while, it was gone. And that meant the planet got blasted with unfiltered cosmic rays. How do we know this with such precision? Because that Kauri tree was alive at that exact moment, and it basically acted like a natural Geiger counter, absorbing and recording a massive spike of carbon-14 right there in its rings.
And once scientists had that data point from the tree, they can line it up with other records, like from ice cores, and suddenly, the picture became terrifyingly clear. We're talking about major global climate shifts, mega droughts in some parts of the world, crazy electrical storms. There might even be a link to some prehistoric extinctions. All of that, a story of a planetary catastrophe, told to us by a single tree that was buried in a swamp. Amazing.
All right, for our last section, we're bringing things into the modern age. Let's talk about humanity's chemical fingerprints. Because it turns out, trees in the most isolated, far-flung places on Earth are recording our story too, leaving a clear chemical signature of everything we do.
First, let's meet this sentinel. It's a lone Sitka spruce on Campbell Island, way down in the Southern Ocean. They actually call it the world's loneliest tree because its nearest neighbor is hundreds of kilometers away.
But that's the key. Its total isolation makes it the perfect instrument for measuring changes in the global atmosphere.
And would you look at this? When scientists took a core sample, they found this massive, unmistakable spike in radiocarbon. But this time, it wasn't from outer space. This is what's known as the bomb spike. It's the radioactive signature from all the above-ground nuclear weapons tests back in the 1950s and 60s. Think about that. This one lonely tree in one of the most remote spots on the globe recorded the peak of the Cold War right in its own wood.
Okay, our final messenger takes us to another extreme place, the Siberian Arctic. We're looking at a single larch tree growing right on the tree line, the absolute edge of where trees can even survive. And because of that, it's super sensitive to even the tiniest changes in the climate.
And the story this tree tells, well, it's a warning. You can see it right here. Its growth rate in the last century or so has just exploded. It's growing faster than at any other time in at least 1,000 years. And that might sound good, but it's not. It's a really clear sign of rapid warming, of longer growing seasons, basically of the entire Arctic ecosystem being thrown out of whack. This little tree is a living, breathing alarm bell.
So, we've gone across the globe. We've traveled through thousands of years of history. What's the big takeaway here? What do all these different trees tell us when we put their stories together?
Well, it's this. Each of these trees are storytellers. They're like individual books in one giant interconnected planetary library, right? You've got Methuselah in California, which taught us how to accurately read the past. You have the Namibian Kauri in New Zealand, which told us about an ancient cosmic catastrophe. And then you have the Arctic larch in Siberia, which is giving us a pretty stark warning about our future.
So the real key here, the thing to remember, is that trees aren't just sitting there passively. They are active, dynamic climate sensors. They're constantly translating everything that's happening in their environment, solar flares, volcanic eruptions, human pollution, you name it, and they're recording it in their own organic structure with just incredible precision.
And that really leaves us with this one powerful idea. The history of our planet, all of it, the huge upheavals, the subtle changes, it's not lost to time. The planet has been keeping its own incredibly detailed records all along. We just need to learn how to read them. We just need to learn how to listen to what the trees are telling us.